Hmm. We can download it as well. Let me download this PDF study guide. All right. So it has the weightage of the topics. 500 has the weightage of the topics. Let's say 20% weightage is for identity access management only. Hopefully, you have heard the term least privileged access. So whenever you are going to work on cloud, right, you should give the least privilege access to your users so that they will not be able to make any kind of changes on your portal. It totally depends on their experience. If they have experience, or if they have their profile, then in that case you can provide some elevated access, right? But do remember, whenever you are going to work on cloud, you have to give the least privilege access. So in that case, IAM comes into the picture, identity access management, where actually you can define who can do at what level. I think this is not the one which I'm looking for, but still let us download it. It is going to help us in the future. Yeah, you can see here, na, security, identity, and access management. So weightage is 15 to 20%. Okay, we can take this one also, na. Fine. Yeah, it is fine. Okay. So if we are talking about security, right? So 15 to 20% covers identity access management only. That how to give the access to portal to others. Let's say you have some employees, right, who are going to work on your portal, right? So in that case, you are not going to provide them the admin level access. The global administrator access, you are not going to give them. You will provide them the least privilege access based on, let's say, they are going to work on only virtual machine. So why to give access of other resources? You are just going to give the access of VMs only. Same way, if someone is a DB engineer, database, right? So why to give them the access of Entra ID, Azure AD? You are just going to provide them the access so that they will be able to create DB, they will be able to manipulate the DB, right? So manage Azure built-in role assignment. So there is multiple inbuilt roles available. Inbuilt roles available that can be applied to your employees, to your users, right? Then there are custom roles also. You can create custom role as well. Then you will be having your Azure AD, Entra ID. Nowadays it is called as Entra ID, right? So to Entra ID as well, you can provide the permissions to your users, whether someone can create user account in your AD or not, whether someone will be able to reset user's password or not, whether someone will be able to change the group membership of the user or not. Like that, there would be multiple things that can be defined, and for that you can give the permissions to your users, to your employees, to your teammates actually. Okay. Then you have planned and manage Azure resources in Microsoft Entra privileged identity management, including settings and assignment. Again, the same thing. In Entra, you are going to provide the access to the users, and you are going to give them some privilege that they will be able to do something on your Entra ID. Then MFA, the major thing is multi-factor authentication. Hopefully you whenever you used to work on whenever you used to log in with your email account, with your official email account, right? So whenever you're going to log in on a new device, then it is going to ask you for a password. Along with password, you have to give the MFA code also from the Microsoft Authenticator application, right? Or you can register your mobile number. So how to do that, how to apply it for all the users, that we will see in secure identity and access part. right? Along with it, how to synchronize your on-prem Active Directory to cloud AD, to Entra ID. That also we will cover. If you have worked on domain controllers, primary domain or additional domain controller or child domain controller, so in that case, you are going to have those domain controllers in your on-prem environment, right? But let's say you have 5,000 users in your on-prem environment on your domain controller, and you want to migrate them to cloud. So in that case, we have to do the AD synchronization. And for those users also, you can apply multi-factor authentication, MFA. So we are going to cover all these things under secure identity and access. Identity, what is identity? Identity is basically the users which you are creating inside the Azure. So how you can secure them? Because see, it is the major thing now that you should secure your identities. If someone is getting logged in into a new device, they have to log in with their password, as well as they will be needing some code. Then only it is going to allow you, right? So how we can secure it? By giving the least privilege access, by allowing MFA, by synchronizing, by applying conditional access policies. So all those things we will cover under secure identity and access, which has a weightage of 15 to 20%, right? Then you have networking. Networking also, it has 20 to 25%. Now, obviously, if you are going to work on cloud, you are going to create VMs, you are going to create virtual networks, you are going to assign them the IP. So if you are going to expose them with the public IP, then everyone can reach that public IP. Okay. But I want to secure it. So for securing that IP or securing the devices which I am going to configure over the Azure, right? I have to plan it in such a way that it is going to allow some particular ports only. Let's say I created one VM, right? And I'm going to allow only 3389, the RDP port. Rest of the ports I'm not going to allow. No one will be able to enter into it. I can define that it is going to accept RDP from a particular IP only. Likewise, we have multiple things that can be configured under networking to make our network secure. So we have network security group. This is what I was talking about. You can just allow or deny some particular ports only. Like you can allow port 22, you can allow port 3389, port 80, port 443 from some particular IP, or you can give the range of IP also. I will show you a small demo of it. Okay, don't worry. So we are going to play with network security group, under which we are going to create the rules, or we are going to deny the ports, or we are going to allow the control or the access from a particular IP only by implementing NSG. Likewise, we have application security groups also, right? Then you have manage virtual network by using Azure Virtual Network Manager. You have plan implementer user defined routes. Dekho, whenever you are going to configure peering, let's say I have two different VNets. I have two different virtual networks, VNet 1 and VNet 2. right? So let's say VNet 1 is in India. Guys, in order to configure any of the resource in Azure, we have to define, or we have to select the region, that in which region we want to configure, right? So that is why I'm writing here that this VNet is going to be in India region and this VNet is in, for example, US. So by default, it says whatever the devices are going to be inside your India region, right? They will not be able to talk to US region devices. Now, if you want, there is a requirement from your client itself or from your company itself, right? They want that these devices will be able to talk to each other. So in that case, we have the option of configuring VNet peering. VNet peering. So in this case, whatever the routing is needed or whatever the devices are needed, it is going to be managed by the Microsoft. You have to just configure this service VNet peering. That's it. Whatever routes it will create, that is going to be defined by the Microsoft itself. Yeah, though it is going to be secured, no need to worry about, but it is going to be system defined routing. System defined routing. But now you don't want to go with system defined routing. You want to define your own route tables, that what is going to be the next hop, right? All those stuff you want to define. You want to configure user defined routing so that the devices will be able to communicate. That is what they are talking about,
So
system
just a
user defined.
question on this one. When is this communication happening? Is there a charge on that part when the data is being transferred from one region to other region in VNet peering?
That depends on bandwidth, that how much the bandwidth it is consuming. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
depending upon bandwidth, they are going to charge you.
yeah, but which means it's not free basically.
Obviously, because see, there would be some sort of devices also which are going to set up your communication. So they are going to charge you for that communication as well. Okay. And just for your idea, okay, always whenever you are going to work on cloud, right, you should use Azure pricing calculator. From here, you will get the idea that what and all services or what and all pricing there would be. Okay, you can see multiple bandwidth data transferred out Azure data centers. Okay, so from here, whatever the idea you want to get, what and all charges they are going to consume or they are going to put on you, that you have to, that you can get the idea from here itself. Okay,
So
let's say you want to take public IPs, so you can go to the IP addressing and then you can see, if I'll go to view, let's say I want IP in East US region, and the type there would be basic, global, and standard. So let's go with the basic only, and the IP address, dynamic IP address or static IP address. Let's say I want 10 IPs. Okay, same way I want 10 static IPs also, and then I'm going to run it for 1 month. For example, I want it for 1 month. So you can define 1 month, it will select 1 month itself, and then the upfront cost is going to be around $348. Why 348? मैंने कुछ और सर्विस भी सिलेक्ट किया है क्या? It should not be 348. इतना तो नहीं हो सकता. हाँ, I think I have selected this thing ना, or earlier I was defining this. Okay, okay, okay. Only this $52 they are going to consume. They are going to charge you. This is actually for a virtual machine. I have used for my previous class. So that is why it is already selected here. So for 1 month, if let's say you are going to configure in UK South region, you're going to configure one virtual machine, then in that case, 151 is going to be the upfront cost. But if let's say you are going to reserve this instance for 1 year, you can get 37% discount. Or if you are going to reserve it for 3 years, then again you will get 57% discount. So it depends. In Azure, if let's say you are going to reserve some services, you can get some discount also. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Then plan and implement virtual network peering or VPN gateway. This is what we talked about, guys. Virtual network peering. Okay. So virtual network peering, whenever we are going to configure VNet peering, right? In that case, system defined routing is going to be configured automatically and it is going to be managed by Azure. But if you will create user defined, in that case, you are going to own it. You are going to make any kind of changes onto it. All right. Yeah, whatever the backend devices are needed, that is going to be managed by Microsoft. But the rules you are going to define, the route table you are going to make by your own. All right. Chalo. Then you have plan and implement virtual network peering. Okay, it's fine. Then plan and implement virtual wide area network, including secured virtual hub. Then secure VPN connectivity. Again, guys, VPN connectivity, point to site and site to site VPN. Earlier, whenever you were working in your on-prem environment, right, and you want to enter into your office network from your home network, then obviously you have to connect with your dial-up connection, with your VPN connection, and then you can connect your office network, your office servers, basically. Same way, if I'm going to have some resources on Azure, right, and I'm not going to assign public IP to those Azure, to those resources, so how I will be able to connect them? In that case, I have the option to configure a VPN. And you already know, whenever we are going to connect VPN, so it is going to make our traffic encrypted. It is going to create the IPsec tunneling so that no one will be able to track your activity, that what actually you are trying to do on internet. Okay. Then you have implement encryption over express route. I think, guys, this topic will not be able to, we will not be able to cover it, because express route is totally dependent upon ISP. We will be needing the help from ISP, and ISP is going to charge a huge amount to configure this thing. But I will let you know the procedure. Or if let's say if I'll get something, some lab, or let's say some pre-configured lab, then in that case also I will show you that how express routing is going to work. Now, what is express route? Basically, the connectivity of your on-prem data center to cloud data center, to Azure data center. So in that case, ISP is going to help us out. ISP is going to configure sort of connectivity in which they will going to charge a huge amount, and then whatever the devices you are going to have in your on-prem, they will be able to talk to your Azure devices also. Or let's say if you are doing some migration from on-prem to cloud, right? So in that case also express routing is going to help you out. So I'll try to get this lab. If not, I will show you the process, that what is going to be the process. And even I will go give you this thing in the documentation. So you can just follow the documentation and then you will get the idea that how express route is going to be configured, or how you have to configure express route in your network. Right? Then firewall. Again, if we are talking about security, how we can skip firewall, right? So we have firewall, Azure firewall. Apart from Azure firewall, whatever firewall you have worked so far, be it is Checkpoint, Palo Alto, right? All those options we have in Azure. But Azure has its native tool also, which is Azure Firewall itself. Rather than taking any third party Palo Alto and all, you can just configure the native tool of Microsoft, which is Azure Firewall. So that we will configure. So what and all things can be configured in the firewall: SNAT, DNAT, right? Port translation, all those stuff we will cover in this firewall. Then monitor network security by using Network Watcher. You can monitor, you can configure the alerts. If let's say there would be something wrong, then in that case you are going to get the alert on your email account, on your phone number, on your you are going to get a push message as well. So it totally depends that what service you are configuring. Based on that, you will get the alerts on your devices. That is networking, how you are going to secure networking. Any question for me till now? We covered the things like your AD, the identity access management, and the securing your network. So till now, any question?
All good, kind of.
One question. So
Yeah,
this VNet and this thing, so this has been done in Azure Administrator.
exactly. Yes, this is our job only to do it.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
No,
we have to.
this one is going to, we are learning in this training, or it has been learned on, means already it has been done on previous 104. Means,
Yeah, this is what I used to cover multiple things in 104 itself. What are all
okay.
things I have mentioned here, right? I used to cover in my daily batches, in my routine batches also, I used to cover all these things, right? But don't worry. So as we are purely talking about security, so we are going to cover these things here. It's here also.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So if you have not covered these things in 104, no need to worry about. I will cover all these things from scratch and you will be able to understand it. Okay. Anyone else? Shall we go ahead?
Yes, please. Thanks.
All right then. Okay.
Sorry,
Then,
may we know
yeah,
your name, please?
Sahitya.
Saitya, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then secure compute storage and databases. Again, it has a weightage of 20 to 25%, where actually you are going to secure your devices, your virtual machines, your instances, Bastion, your Kubernetes, monitoring of Kubernetes, monitoring of cluster, authentication of your clusters, right? So all these things are related to your compute, storage, and databases. You are going to have a dedicated storage account where you are going to keep the files. Let's say um, you want to synchronize your on-prem data to cloud. So in that case, we have to create a dedicated storage account first of all. Under that storage account, we will be able to migrate our data from on-prem to cloud. But again, we want that data should be encrypted. So there would be option of BitLocker encryption. Hopefully you have worked on BitLocker, right? So if you are going to allow or if you are going to enable BitLocker on your drives, then in that case, no one will be able to get access of your data. Even if someone will extract your drive from the laptop or from the desktop, they will not be able to read the data. They will not be able to get access of data, right? So how you are going to secure in case of cloud, that we are going to cover under secure compute storage and databases, right? Then Azure Microsoft Defender or Cloud Microsoft, guys, where actually you will talk about Acha, whenever you are going to create a storage account, right? In order to secure it, or let's say you are creating backups of your VMs, of your database, of your files, right? Of your storage accounts and all, you are creating the backups of those critical data, for example, right? So in that case, you can secure it using Key Vault, right? So Key Vault is going to allow you to just add one extra layer of security to your services, to your Azure services, right? That we will cover here. Then key rotation, configure key rotation. If let's say you want to define the validity of one key is going to be a 15-day, or one more example you can take. Let's say you want to give the data access of your data to any other user, right? But you want that access should be for 1 day only, or even let's say it is for 1 hour only. You can create the key, right? And you can give that key to the user, so that user can use that key and he will be able to access the data for 1 hour only. After that, that key is going to be expired. It is going to be auto rotated, so that it is not going to be a valid key, and a new key is going to be generated automatically. It is basically for the storage only, where actually you are going to do the key rotation. So on a periodic basis, whatever the time you are going to define, let's say 10 days, 15 days, the key is going to be changed automatically. Because if let's say someone will get your key, right, then obviously he will get the access of your data. So just for the extra security, what you can do, you can just set up the key rotation part, where actually the key is going to be automatically rotated, and it is going to be updated with your storage account automatically. That we will cover here, right? Then perform backup and recovery of certifications, secrets and keys. Backup, again the major thing is, for any of the thing, whenever you are going to do any kind of critical activity, right? So let's take one example. You are doing patching on the server, on one of the VM, right? And that VM got corrupted, the OS got corrupted actually, because of that patch. So you should have any option, you should have the option, so that at any point of time you will be able to retrieve your services. So it is always good to configure the backup, and even whenever you are going to do it in the production environment, so backup is the major thing that you have to configure. Even client is also going to ask you for the backup. And even let me tell you one more activity. See, even I used to do. So if let's say you configure the backup, everything is working fine, then on time to time basis, client is going to give you one activity, that whether from the backup, are you able to configure the virtual machines or not. Like, you have to prepare a scenario where actually your VM got down, right? And then the client wants to configure the virtual machine, to create the virtual machine using the backup you have configured. In our case, we used to just prepare this scenario. It is not going to be in the real time that yes, the VM is down, but yes, it might possible the VMs are down, right? So in our case, we used to do the practice every 1 month or maybe 2 months, right? We are going to get a ticket from the client, that from the backup itself, you have to show that after backup, you are able to configure the, or you are able to create the new virtual machine, or you are able to retrieve it basically. That is the agenda. This thing we have to see. that how we are able to recreate the virtual machine using our backup options. We have one more thing called snapshots. You can take snapshots of your data as well. So snapshot is other thing and backup is another thing. So we will cover all these things. All right. Then yeah, protect backup, how you can protect your backup, right? Then implement security control on asset management. So this is your Defender cloud, what and all things you have to do over the Defender, right? So that we will cover, don't worry. And then, yeah, that's it. These are the topics, guys. Okay. So you can see the weightage of this exam is, this topic is 30 to 35%, and this one is 20 to 25%, and this one is 20 to 25%, and again this one is 15 to 20%, which is making collective of 100%, in which almost we are going to cover all the topics which are written here. Almost. Where actually we will not be able to, I will let you know, which I already told you, like express route. I don't think we will be able to do, but if let's say something would be there, then definitely I will show you the express route as well. So this is your 500 exam and the topics that we are going to cover in this 500 module, and it will take around 1 month. If let's say we are going on weekends, right, Saturday Sunday, so there would be a 2 hours or 2.5 hours class is going to be, and yeah, based on that we will be able to cover it within 1 month, right? Then we have 700. So 700 is also basically, it is purely for the network engineers who already worked on network, right? So they will be able to understand it, right? Now again, multiple things which are there in 500, the same thing you will be able to see here as well. Virtual networks, public IP services, design and implement virtual network in Azure, design name resolution of your virtual network, DNS, configure domain name services, settings in Azure, cross virtual network connectivity with peering, VNet peering, right? So that is why I told multiple things are there in 500 and the same thing are there in 700 also. So no need to cover the things again and again. So whatever topics are common, I think it is not needed that we should cover those topics again, right? So VNet peering is the major thing, right? And it is there in the 500 also. Okay. Then routing, traffic routing, system defined, user defined routing, configure internet access with Azure virtual NAT, network address translation. You can block the internet also if you want. You can block the internet on your VMs through your firewall itself. Or if let's say you want to whitelist some of the URLs, right? Let's say you want from Azure VMs, you should be able to access facebook.com, right? Then you can whitelist only Facebook and rest of the uh, access it is not going to allow, right? So this is first topic, which is introduction to Azure Virtual Network. Then you have design and implement hybrid networking. Again, it is related to express route and all. Acha, first of all, VPN gateway. See, we talked about VPN gateway in our firewall also. Firewall, our 500 topic also. We talked about site to site VPN, point to site VPN. So these three topics, again, these are common topics, okay, which we will cover in our 500. And even I am covering these things in 104 also, though it is not the part of 104, but still I used to cover it. Okay. Then connect remote resources by using Azure virtual WANs, wide area network, है ना, with the help of public IP, how you are going to connect it. Then create a virtual WAN by using Azure portal, then create a network virtual appliance and VA in a virtual lab, right? Then we have express route. Again, we have this express route topic here also. Okay. Design express route deployment, configure an express route gateway, express route circuit deployment, right? Expressway, configure peering for an express route deployment. Okay. So I will see what and all topics that can be covered under express route. Okay. Then load balancers. Again, the major thing in the networking, guys. You are going to configure load balancers. And there are two types of load balancers, public and internal. Internal load balancers can be accessed within the Azure network only. And public um, load balancers can be accessed outside your Azure network. Let's say you are hosting a website, right? And there is a lot of traffic on that website. So obviously, uh, server has its capability, right? Has its compute power. Based on that, it will be able to respond to the query of the users. And at certain point of time, it will stop doing it. Why? Because the CPU, it is consuming the CPU. And if there would be lot of traffic, then obviously it will stop working after a certain point of time. In that case, what you can do, you can add some more virtual machines, some more servers, so that it will balance the load. You can define the condition that the if CPU utilization is going to be 60% or 70%, then automatically the load should be transferred to the another server. Again, if the both server are again overloaded, then the load would be transferred to the third server and so on. How to define it, how to configure it, how traffic manager is going to work. You can define, you can configure the traffic manager, guys. Now, what is traffic manager? If let's say someone is sending the request from India, then we can define that only server 1 is going to be respond. We have multiple options in traffic manager. I'm just giving you one example. Okay. Um, let's say someone the server is getting request from India, then only server 1 is going to be respond. Same way, if someone is accessing the website from US, then server 2 is going to be respond. Website is going to remain same, but which server is going to be respond, that is we can define in traffic manager. And under traffic manager we have multiple option. I think 7 or 8 options are there. We can define if someone is sending the request from a particular range of IP, then which server is going to be respond, right? So that that is totally your choice that what option you want to configure, but we are going to discuss all of them, and even practically also we will see. Okay. Load balancer, HTTP. Okay, now HTTP again, load balancer in Azure. How to design a load balancer in HTTP traffic and how to implement Azure application gateway and Azure front door. Then design and implement network security. Again, firewall. These are again, guys, common topics. Yeah, DDoS would be something different, but NSG, firewall, again firewall, firewall manager. These are the common topics that we will cover in 500. Right? Then private access to Azure resources. Integrate private endpoint with domain naming service, right? Private basically you are not giving them the public access basically. You just want to access it within the Azure infrastructure. It is not going to have the reachability outside your Azure network. Only the VMs or only the services which are going to be within the Azure infra, that is basically private access. That is basically the private network you're configuring on Azure. Okay. Then the last but not the least, monitoring, guys. if let's say something is down, right? Let's talk about VM only, okay? Though it is part of 104, but we will cover this thing. Let's say your VM is down, or VM is the CPU of virtual machine is getting up to 80% or 90%. Then in that case, you can configure the monitoring alerts, right? It is going to generate one alert that this instance is running with 80% of CPU. Please take the necessary action. Whatever things you want to write there, that is your choice. But we will cover this thing in 700. So these all topics are going to be the part of 700, and this also is going to take 1 month. So collective, all the topics in 500 and 700, it will take 2 months to complete. Any doubt, any question for me? Am I clear to all?
Yes.
Okay, then let's do a small lab, right? And after this, after that, we will wrap up, and the team will let you know about regular classes and all. Okay,
Next weekend, sir.
all right. So from
Regular
next weekend,
9.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So from next weekend, guys, Saturday, Sunday, 9 o'clock, and the session is going to be for 2 hours or 2.5 hours, depending upon the topics that we are covering. So based on that,
You're starting from 700 first or 500? How?
500, first 500.
500. Okay, sir. Thank
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So let's do a small lab for security, guys. We talked about network security group. So if you will talking about NSG, NSGs can either be applied on a NIC card. Let me take one VM. It can be a Linux VM also, or it can be a Windows VM. That is your choice. Now, obviously, guys, whenever we are going to configure a virtual machine, that virtual machine is going to have a NIC, an IC card. Okay, an IC. So now, if you want to apply NSG, network security group, do we have that? So guys, it is kind of firewall only. NSG is a kind of firewall where actually you can uh, define that what and all ports it is going to allow and what and all ports it is going to deny. Okay. Now see, NSG can either be applied at NIC level, and here you can define the rule that you want to allow 3389. You want to allow port 80. So now these rule is going to work for this NIC only. Likewise, if you are going to have